Public restrooms can often be a hangout for the homosexual. Bobby and his friends hadn't noticed the man who had been in the restroom when they changed, and as it was late, he suggested they take the shortcut under the pier, but the others preferred to take the more traveled way home. When Bobby recognized the stranger as the man in the restroom, the shortcut under the pier didn't seem like a good idea at all. After all, it's more fun to stay with your friends anyway. Bobby had made a wise decision. It may have saved his life. One never knows when the homosexual is about. He may appear normal, and it may be too late when you discover he is mentally ill. So keep with your group, and don't go off alone with strangers unless you have the permission of your parent or teacher.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bruce McDonald, and this is, in fact, the Talamanker Review. It's 9:15 p.m. on the 3rd of May, which is a Saturday. That was a for real, legit 1950s public service announcement about homosexuals and the dangers they pose in road stop bathrooms. I shit you not, hand to God. I saw that on X today and I thought I got to show this on my show. It is amazing how much a society can change in 70 years. To go from having homosexuality in the, I think it's the DMA, the Diagnostic Manual of America, to basically we're now living in a time where they may be coming up with mental illnesses they say you have if you don't want to be bisexual. And all of this in the space of 2 generations, if a generation is 33 years. Begging the question, can you trust the experts? If they could be so wrong 2 generations ago, what changed in the science and the analysis of homosexuality to flip them so far over to the other side? I got no dog in this fight. Oh, speaking of which, oh man, my dog almost killed a dog tonight. And it's not really his fault. The other dog came on our property. But the guy was really upset. It took us a long time because the dog took off. And then my second dog broke its leash and went in as well. It was a shit show. But these things happen. The guy was very upset. He said, my race of dog can't be off a leash. It's too dangerous for children. And that's not true. I mean, my dogs are fine around kids and everything. But I always analyze circumstances like this very, very closely. And I try to apply a higher perspective. And I try to ask, why did this happen? And, I figured it out, but I'll keep it to myself because there's no sense in sharing it, but it's interesting, why things happen, how they happen, when they happen. And very often you'll see that the things that are happening are, what I would say is look at the people closest to you. Look at the people closest to you and ask yourself, did it come from the thoughts and feelings around you? Because everything that happens around us is the product of thought and feeling. Okay? Everybody, every single person on the planet at some level, whether they're conscious of it or not, is practicing witchcraft. Just by how you think. It's very interesting the way the whole thing works. I don't have a lot planned for tonight. I thought that I would read some of the comments I get on my podcasts and go over them and give my salutations to the people who take the time to comment and to just say thank you. So from last night, all about population, I got the Warrior 777 commented 10 hours ago. I never looked at the 144,000 in that context. Interesting perspective to ponder. 2,800 slaves, huh? I'm going to laugh with confidence on that one. Not in my lifetime. If it's attempted, then I guess it's my last stand then. No way Jose or Hoseby. I guess the only way through this is be the best version of yourself. Grab some organic popcorn and hold on tight. Thanks, Warrior. It's a nice comment. I would say this. Americans have a tendency to overestimate their bravado. I'm not saying you are specifically, but your comment is very American. Not in my lifetime. If it's attempted, then I guess it's my last stand then. Well, I can assure you that they've planned for that kind of behavior. So if you aren't in the chess game, knowing what they're thinking and what they plan to do, from a military perspective, it's a disposable sacrifice. It's a useless sacrifice. I appreciate it. I really do. I also kind of live the same way. Despite the fact that I was born in Canada, I've also often held that American mindset, like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China. You just like do what you can. That is the very best example of that American bravado, right? That's what was so genius, the comedy. I'm not even sure John Carpenter knew what he was doing when he made that movie. It's just so brilliant, And in that particular movie, everything worked out for Kurt Russell. Americans have always been lucky. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I think that the next battle that America goes through is going to be very transformative. And by transformative, I mean it's going to involve levels of trauma that, let's just say they will be generational to heal them, unless our healing abilities go up a notch or two, right? Which is always possible. So, Minky. Hi, how are you? She had a comment on the same video. By the way, I think I'm going to do this once a week. Every Saturday, I'm going to read comments, and I'll tell you why. Because it's one of my favorite things about doing the podcast. And you guys I wake up to so many comments now every morning. Oh, there's George calling. I'll call him back. And Facebook, YouTube, Substack, Microsoft Teams, the new instantiation of Skype. People just are moved by the podcasts, and I get really kind of intelligent comments. And, thanks be to God, I don't have any trolls yet. Some people contact me and, hey, man, I really want to help you. What you're saying is really important. I want to help you push this. And I'm like, I really appreciate that, but please do not do that. Like I said, I don't do this for money. Thanks to you who do subscribe. The money comes in handy, my family, but I would do it for free. So, thanks for those of you who have made buy me a coffee donation. I appreciate it immensely. I'm going to stop with the false modesty and be grateful, So thank you for the nice donation, Datsun and Dean on Buy Me a Coffee. And thank you to those of you who've subscribed. And everything that I have is available to you if you've subscribed. Just send me a message. Anything I have that is part of my content creation is yours for free, not paperback, because I would actually have to go and order that and, send it to you from Amazon. And, I get the paperbacks for what we call just the author's price, which is the printing price. But there's still the delivery fee and everything. So it's going to cost, $10 or so to send you a book. But Kindles, the audiobooks that I have, Light of Darkness and Stardust Ranch, just ask, man. I have all my books in Kindle too, by the way, even the fiction, The Stolen Child, God is an Economist, all the other ones, The Devil in Us, The Light of Darkness, Galactic Historian, and Stardust Ranch. And as far as I'm concerned, if you've subscribed to my podcast on Substack, that $80 a year that you paid, that buys everything, man. That buys all the books in every form I have other than paperback, which is Kindle and audio. So if you want them, pipe me a message. And even if you haven't subscribed and you would like one of the books, send me a message. I don't care you don't have the money. I think the books are worth reading. But like I told you guys before, there's like more than one economy. There's this economy, and then there's the next economy. And generosity in this economy is currency in the next economy. I hope you guys get what I'm saying, because it's true. So Minky, also commenting on All About Population. No matter what their reasons are for depopulation, my concern is who gets to decide who lives and who dies. What an excellent question, Minky. The simple answer to your question, I would say, is the people running DARPA. Okay, that's the closest I've come to an answer. It's all the kill stuff seems to be in DARPA. The mind programming from the digital TV, DARPA. I'm sure the vaccines, the mRNA technology came out of DARPA. Internet came out of DARPA. Chemtrails, RFK Jr. just told us a week ago, that's DARPA running that program. The chemtrails, DARPA. So I guess it's DARPA. They are the executioner of the depopulation plan, but who gives them their orders, I don't know. I just call them the Black Star Cult. I don't know any of them by name, nor do I care to. And as I've said numerous times on my podcast, I can't be bothered hating them. You know why? I know my life counts. I know my existence counts. Yes, I did a podcast called The Creator Doesn't Give a Shit. But when you live correct, your life counts. Okay? It's registered here and there. And when you live correctly, any ill done to you, it's like I told you, how karma works. You can't get away with anything. That's why I don't worry about anything. In the short term, yes, somebody could walk up and shoot me in the head and probably get away with killing me. No problem. But they didn't get away with killing me. Not as a living being that's out of a body coming back into a body. They didn't get away with it because you can't get away with anything. This is what this whole thing we're going through now is about in my estimation. And this whole thing we're going through seems to be a massive accounting. Okay? A massive opening up of the karmic books, and not only the books of each and every individual human being and culture and society and region of the world, but also the forces that are doing this audit are listening to the earth itself. And all those voices have gone into the audit, and the effect, or what is the word I'm looking for? The effect or the consequence of that audit is in play. And part of that is what's responsible for the depopulation. This is going to sound a little bit unkind. Apologies. There are so many people alive now who are not living correctly. They don't deserve to be alive. Now, is it their fault? No. They were born to bad parents, bad education system, bad cultural influences, rampant, out of control capitalism, exploitation, and the undercurrent negative vibe of all the dark star shit going on the planet with the kids and the adrenochrome and everything. But in an audit like the one we're going through now, these higher forces are relatively indiscriminate. So if you fit into a general frequency of behavior, go to work, come home, park your car, make your dinner. If you're just like a drone filling out your week, to the eyes of anyone observing you, you're living a good life. You're not hurting anybody, anything like that. But in this audit, they're looking for people to bring more to life. So whoever gets to see the next wave of life we're going into in the age of Aquarius, I think, just my opinion, but I think they're going to be people who generally up the game of the human experience. And by up the game, I mean up the frequency, up the perception, up the compassion, up the selflessness. I think if you live that way, you have a much higher chance of surviving. Now, that seems superficially contradictory, doesn't it? Because it seems now like you have to kill people to stay alive now, you know? By the way, I will tell you, I have a huge drama going on here in Costa Rica now. My stepson's roommate, who he lives with when he breaks up with his common law, and they break up and get back together 3, 4, 5 times a year. But he's got this guy he goes and stays with when he breaks up with her. He's national news now. Him and a model/prostitute were found chopped up in pieces and burned. They think they caught the guys who did it, but it's all related to this underworld. So, it's just doesn't directly touch us, but it's like, well, you know about my nephew Joseph 5 years ago, right? So that's 2 brutal deaths very close to my stepson now. His cousin Joseph 5 years ago for lifestyle and good reason, karmically good reason. I mean, he's my nephew, but I don't play this Latino game. I don't stand by my blood. My morality is above. And Joseph had 12 bodies on him. I think he lived too long, even getting killed at 24, 25, because he killed about 12 people. And I think he got too much life to begin with. And so this is the second one, the roommate now, and this guy's in his early 30s, as is my stepson. And I said to my wife, I said, in my experience, God speaks in threes. And the first 2 are the warnings for your son to change his life. And the third thing in this sequence of 3 is your son, my stepson, if he doesn't change his lifestyle and the people he associates with and all of these sorts of things. Because this pressure is everywhere now. There's this extreme pressure on the narco-trafficking underworld in Costa Rica. They just announced a $500,000 reward for the guy who goes by the alias the Devil. I won't say it in Spanish because I don't want to jinx myself. And he has a farm just up the mountain from me. We see him passing here all the time. That's $500,000 I'm going to leave alone. I'm not going after that. It's got nothing to do with me. But this is Trump and the DEA, and I'm telling you that this thing Trump is doing, it's not just in America. You know what? A lot of it is America, but continental America, not just America as we use the expression euphemistically to mean the United States of America. Okay? And this president we have in Costa Rica now, he's like that with Trump. He wants these narcos off the street. And if he's got some gringo willing to foot the bill and willing to send Delta forces in here, he's all for it. So now is the time to get out of, if you've gotten away with it, whatever level you're at in this narco trafficking world, even if you've got a little franchise at a convenience store that sells cocaine and weed, now's the time to get out of it. But very few people do that once they're entrenched in a lifestyle for several years, because you know what, folks? You get used to easy money pretty quick. And I mean, if your legitimate income, whatever it is you do, is $1,200 a month in Costa Rica, and you're bringing in another $2,000 a month dealing, what do you think the chances are you're going to give up that $2,000? That buys the gold, that buys the $200 sneakers, that buys the bitches. No disrespect, I'm trying to sound like the kids in their rap music, right? You know what I mean. And that's a very hard lifestyle to get out of. It's very, what's the word, kids? Let's do a little Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street. Let's play the word game. It's chemical consciousness, folks. Addiction is also part of chemical consciousness, right? Getting rooted and rutted in habits. Thank you for the message, Minky. Love your messages, okay? What else do we got here? Let's see here. Oh, here's a lovely one. Kitty Cat 57. She's just such a lovely woman. I have so many lovely people who listen to the Talamanker review, which surprises me a bit because I'm a little bit vulgar, I'm like a Glasgow gutter pup. And but sweet ladies, sweet septuagenarian ladies just love the Talamanker review, and thank you very much. It's very kind of you. So Kitty at 57 said, I get exactly what I need to hear from your podcasts, Bruce. So many golden nuggets. Everything seems so dark and disturbing. And I keep asking, so where is the good news, Bruce? But me too, Kitty. Every time I sit down in front of this microphone, I go, Bruce, dig real deep and try to find some good news in this podcast, Bruce. You're bringing people down, Bruce. I do. It weighs on me sometimes. I think that's why I deliberately did Heroes as well, right? So where is the good news, Bruce? But I am coming to understand that the good news is we have the knowledge and awareness of why we are here. What a gift that is. Billions will come and go on this planet and never have this perspective. I have long said everything teaches, and it's never been more true. As I understand this now on a much deeper level, it is a blessing. Thank you, Bruce. Keep it coming. I will, Kitty. As long as I'm able to speak, I will continue doing this podcast. And Trish B 4574, she's quoting a movie, I think here, John Constantine. Angela Dodson, the Constantine, the Keanu Reeves movie from 2004. And the character Angela Dodson says in the movie, I guess God has a plan for all of us. And John Constantine responds, God's a kid with an ant farm, lady. He's not planning anything. Thank you very much, Trish B 4574. That's nobody appreciates the well placed movie reference more than yours truly, and that's a perfect one. That was my son's favorite movie until he saw No Country for Old Men when he was 12, yeah. But up until about 8 or 9, his favorite movie was Constantine. And then Trish B 4574 goes on to say, I don't believe that. It's just he's already written the story, the beginning, middle, and end. He's just sitting back watching it all play out. It's only a mystery to us and a misery to those without faith. God bless you, Trish 4574. From my heart to yours, bless you. Okay? What a beautiful thing to say. What podcast are we on here? Oh, the creator doesn't give a shit. Yeah. Warrior 777 again. He's pretty consistent. Not all the time with his comments. He has to be moved. If the podcast is a bit flat, he won't come on. He won't put the cleats on and come on the field and give me a comment. But when I knock it out of the bleachers, like Babe Ruth pointing to the left bleachers, I can pretty much be sure when I wake up in the morning there will be a significant comment from the Warrior 777. Epic podcast, Bruce. The validation you give me, insane. You brought up my buddy David Dubine. I about fell over when you mentioned him. I've been following him for a very long time. His channel was a different name at the time I ran into him. Very smart man, and has also taught me a lot. I love his demeanor and sense of humor on his podcast. We almost moved out by where he is, but found what we were looking for closer to our other place for an easier move. It's always when you don't feel like doing something that the best comes out of you. That's because I said in that podcast I wasn't sure I was going to do a podcast that night. And he's right. Some of my best podcasts are when I say, I don't want to do a podcast tonight. And I do one anyways. And I don't know if it's that little bit of negativity, like not having wanted to do it, but it's just like a Flintstone in my consciousness, throwing sparks into kindling. And then a little fire gets going, and then it starts to rage, and I have a great podcast. I don't know how it all works in my consciousness. It's always when you don't feel like doing something that the best comes out of you. The podcasts that you are just winging it are usually the best and most authentic. There seems to be more passion because you're not following a guideline or predetermined topic. When you get into the flow, it hit the heart with more intensity, which makes it like you're right here talking personally. I just smiled through the whole thing because I resonate with all of it. I know I'm on the right track when you brought up instant karma. I'm a naturally high vibrating person, and even more so now that I'm chemical free. I literally have to do things to tone it down because people can't handle it when they're around me. Some people, like a septic person or delivery driver that comes to my house to do a service, they have a hard time leaving. I'll engage in the small talk and they just light up with their life stories and personal stuff. They must feel something because they won't leave and lose track of time. I have to almost go, ready, break, goodbye, and walk in the house. I feel rude, but it's freaking weird. They appear to become attached energetically, and I feel it. It's actually uncomfortable. That's a very long one. I'll leave that alone for now. Thank you. It's very kind of you. Thank you very much, Warrior 777. Very kind of you. What else do we got here? Oh, Fingerman. Fingerman. He and I have spoken off air. He's a nice enough guy. I believe he's living in Ohio? Yeah, I think it's Ohio. And he's an electric bike enthusiast. And this one is The Creator Doesn't Give a Shit. I diverge with you greatly about the Creator's personal interest in me and in having a personal relationship with him. He gives a shit in my book. I don't limit him to just one life or one life type, such as like ours or very unlike, whatever. No sentiment in spirituality? Question mark. So no pensive thoughts, thinking. The Creator is me is only released if I release him by his will. How can I express remorse? Question mark. We are at this level still, in his image. So pensive thinking and sentimentality is valid spirituality. Yeah, I suppose you could call it Cub Scout spirituality for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about, it's obviously you're on the path if you're thinking about things in context of the cosmos, the creation, and the Creator. So, yeah, it's spiritual, and it can be pensive, and it can be sentimental. I'm not quite sure that was the point of the podcast, though, Fingerman. The, the point of the podcast was the creator in its ultimate expression has no sentiment, which is why I took the time to look up the number of galaxies and the number of solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy so that a sense of insignificance would come about. Okay? But yeah, I hear you. This is my favorite part of the comment. I know you don't want to see how the sausage is made, but self validation includes logic, at least for me. Maybe there's a high low vibration elephant in the room. SMH. Not quite sure what SMH means. I'll show you how the sausage is made. First ever captured footage of the sausage being made. Oh my God. That's how the sausage is made, Fingerman. All right, thanks for playing. Get a hat on the way out. Um, let's see what else I got here. I got to go over to Substack. Those have just been, whatchamacallit, YouTube comments. Okay. Anything that comes into me personally, anybody who communicates with me by Facebook Messenger or Microsoft Teams or Telegram or WhatsApp, I will never read your comments on air. You have, because you didn't make them public, you communicated directly to me. Okay. But some of the things you say, you folks who communicate with me, it's so beautiful and lovely. I hope you do put it on Substack or YouTube so on a future Saturday night show, I can read it out loud, because that would be really nice. I would like people to see what I go through. Now, here's Greg Rowe, and Greg is George, who wrote Contact and Cosmology. And I'm just going to say this. I don't care how gay it sounds. I have grown to love Greg. Greg and I talk a couple times a month. His wisdom, his insight, his experience, his compassion for people, his ability to heal people physically, the reasons he does heal people, the reason he wakes up every day and takes a breath. It's hard not to love Greg, man, once you get to know him. And I have grown to love him very, very much. And he doesn't always comment, but when he does, it's a straight razor because his mind is as sharp as a straight razor. Okay. And remember, Contact and Cosmology. Uh, it's on it's on Amazon. You can get a Kindle or a paperback. And this comment was on the podcast I did called Perpetual War. The ultimate luxury is simplicity. The ultimate wealth is being in a system where one can barter or has a source of income outside the local economy that pays far in excess of local costs, as you have with your grant writing and what might seem modest sums in Ottawa reverberating as great income there in the Talamanker Reserve. 100%, Greg. I have hacked the system, but it's not a hack everybody could do. You have to be extremely malleable. You have to be able to adapt to a new culture. But yes, if you can do those things and get along with people, and live as they live and bring your own unique self to make a betterment in the community, the Pueblo, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's a system hack because you're taking money that would just have you a slave in the old system I left, but gives me the freedom to write my books and podcast here. Okay, because I could not live off podcasting and book writing. I mean, holy cow, man. But all the books I've written since I've been up here, I'd say the total income is less than like 43,000 US over 6 years. Okay, it's a nice side income. It's like a senior's pension coming in every every month from Amazon. A little Latin American pension, anywhere from $200 to $400 to $500 US. So it's nice, but I couldn't live on it. No way. Okay. Um, Greg goes on to say we would all like the simplicity, the voluntary simplicity. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Um, the people here in US who achieve it have generally screwed their way to it. They have fleeced, fucked, extracted from, sued, etc. their fellow man so as to hoard a disproportionate amount for themselves. Yeah? They then realize the one thing they can't buy is spirituality, and the expensive cocaine failed to deliver, so they go on retreats, they do ayahuasca, they go to an Indian reservation where it's legal and do peyote, the rental properties where poor people pay their mortgage holders while they gradually become owners of multiple properties that they own, ensuring that many times the number of that class will never own an eighth hectare of land. These properties are their investments in China, Mexico, Indonesia, child labor factories, production facilities with no worker safety nor environmental regulations. These ensure that they can fly anywhere to sit at the feet of a guru or hear from a fellow escapee of their caste how good it was to get away from a West brought down by its own allegiances to the Semitic worldview, with its implied linear apocalypse and the great force of the collective unconscious to bring that outcome into our reality. As such, what they export, the few who leave, who survive, is just more of the same. It will not change for the better, and the brief experiment in decentralization and local self-determination of 1776 is a long-lost dream. Greg packs a punch, man, and I agree completely. What he described there, even without ever having been here, he perfectly described the northern province of Guanacaste up here. And that's all it is Hollywood types and people like that coming here for a 2 week spiritual moment, right? Touching the soul, touching the soul. And I find that spirituality very, very disturbing. I myself am right in the trenches and trying to help and change people. And I'm learning a lot here about what I should do, what I shouldn't do, and most importantly, about when people should be left to learn their hard lesson. Because compassion and giving them space through my monetary contribution doesn't help anything. They just continue to fuck up, and probably I'm aiding it. So there's a lot to learn here. Yeah. And I'm getting ready to start a massive food project now. I'm gonna do a massive food project. Fruit trees, a garden I should have gotten done a long time ago, half the size of a football field. I want 80% of my food on this mountain. 80%. I want to be prepared for anything, anything. And to be able to say that, I have to have a lot of my food up here now. So that involves me hiring somebody to work my land and do all that farm work. And I've got the guy, and we've begun and discussing it and planning it. So that's in the works now, too. All right. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. Let's do a few more. The podcast will be over in about 10 minutes. Let's go to last night's podcast, all about population, and see what I got here. Oh, I didn't get any comments on that. Let's go to the creator doesn't give a shit. There were a lot of comments on that one, and let's see what I got here. Mike Davis, yeah. No matter how dark the show gets, I find hope in your message. Perhaps that's because I've been inoculated to the darkness. Testify, Mike. I think Bob once told me human beings come to this planet to get tattooed with darkness. And I think he's right. And that the sooner you accept that and assimilate your darkness and perform the alchemical process of turning it to light, the better off you're going to be here on this in this incarnational space, this realm we exist in. Okay, the synchronicities keep piling up. I'm living in that boomerang karma right now. Even a minor indulgence in boom reality pokes me right in the eye. I think it's humorous that you brought up David. I heard his podcast last night, and I was going to comment that it had your fingerprints on it. I did not know that. I didn't listen to David's podcast last night. Emmett. Very interesting if their rituals are not working so great for them now. So they revert to physical force. Very interesting indeed. Do you really think we can beat it? The darkness. I admit those rabbis who want 80% of us dead can be a little annoying at times. But they're also funny lost fuckers who channel evil to provide us with a valuable service. Evil dangles the carrot. We have choice. Emmett, I agree 100%, man. Nobody forces you. It's the temptation. In fact, they're playing a spiritual role. They're playing the satanic or the demonic role, which is to test us. Okay, that's what it's there for, is to test us. Let's see here. Ray 77. Ray is a friend of mine. Very nice guy, military guy. Every pitch you knocking it out of the park. You need a contracted verb there, Ray. You're knocking it out of the park, not you knocking it out of the park. My wife speaks better English, and she don't speak English, Ray. You guys think I'm giving Ray a hard time, but he's on the floor laughing right now, I promise you. Can you bunt once in a while? You're changing the game. Keep it up. Athena. This is a new subscriber. What an absolutely beautiful name. That's like a Greek goddess or something, Athena. Hey, I'm blown away here. It seems the more I know, the effing less I know. Thank you, Athena. And we'll close out, I think, with This has been a lot of fun, man. I'm going to do a comment show once a week. I think this is my new Saturday night show, is just interacting with you guys. I also put out a note today or yesterday where I said, look, if you want to talk for 5 minutes about the show with me or ask a question about a particular podcast, I'll set up a Zoom meeting, I'll record it, and if I get 5 or 6 of them or 10 of them, cut them all together and just do an interacting with listeners podcast, okay? And upload it to Substack, which then uploads it to Spotify, uploads it to YouTube. It's a whole ecosystem out there, folks. The AI is taking over. So yeah, we can do that. We can record it as well. Oh, here's Datsun Focus 333, very observant fellow. I've noticed in many of your shows that you have a certain kind of wild and focused energy. I just think that, hey, this guy probably just got done with a 1 or 2 hour trip around the universe in meditation. Because when I get done with a spiritual day trip, that's exactly how I feel 100%. Thank you. And I responded. I'll read you my response. I think it has more to do with a more direct mix between my humanity and my divinity. In the ones where I'm very calm and focused, I've committed to the divine part of myself and I'm centered in it. In the ones where I go off on a tangent and get more emotional, it's where there's a mix between the material and spiritual in my existence. I enjoy both, is what I'm saying about those podcasts. Let's see if I can do one more, okay? Spiritual economics redux will be fun, okay? Redux. Let's see what we got here. Emmett again. I'll give J Joe a read. JGO. I don't even know how to pronounce that. You know, if I tried to pronounce it in Spanish, it would just be O because J's and G's are different in Spanish. So, the Celts and what they did. Remick and Sinners is a Celt elder vampire that gets chased in the beginning of the movie by a band of indigenous Choctaw vampire hunters. Must see. Let me know if you have a fire stick. I'll recommend. It's not really relevant to the podcast, but thank you though, JJo. Yeah, not as many comments as I thought there might have been on that one. I don't want to do Oh Canada. Perpetual war, spiritual economics. No, I think we're good. So there's a very interesting show I can do once a week now, folks. I can do what I'll call the comment show. So this has been like loads of fun, man. Loads of fun. I'm Bruce McDonald, and this has been the Talamanker Review with your say.